So, good morning. My name is Jose Garcia.
My name is Eddie Cortez.
I am Jessica Lopez.
And I'm Brian Valladares.
And our business proposal is on a hydrophobic, not incorporated housing shelter. So, to begin, with our shelter, we want to address the issue of homelessness. So, in California, obviously, we have a really large homeless population whose unsheltered rate, as you can see, ranges from 30% all the way up to 70%. Another issue that we really want to address in the long term is the issue of the refugees. So according to the UN, as of 2016, there has been a total population of 65 million individuals globally who have been forcibly displaced from their homes, where 20 million of those individuals are considered refugees. So with the Hydronite shelter, we want to provide these individuals with reliable housing, as well as providing them with an external emergency water source.
So our shelter is going to have a max height of 3 meters and a minimum height of 2 meters to make the gentle slope. And it's going to be 10 meters in diameter. So we're going to use nitinol in the joints of our shelter. Nitinol is a shape memory alloy, and that is a type of metal that can be deformed, and with a certain amount of stress or heat, the atoms can reposition themselves to its original position that it was programmed to remember. And as you can see on the left side right here, that's how our beams are going to be collapsible, and the nitinol is going to be on the joint so that it's easily stored and easily transported to areas that is needed. The panels are going to be modular so that it can adapt to different types of environments.
So a concept we're going to be using is hydrophobicity. So what hydrophobicity is basically an object being water repellent. How our water system or filtration system is going to work is we're going to have two gutter systems, one at the top and one at the bottom. That will lead into the hydrophobic waterway that will then lead into the filtration system. Our filter is going to be carbon-based, so it will filter out any toxins and any metals. And then, next slide. This is what it's going to look like. So there's a pipe, that white pipe, and then at the corner, there's this black little corner that's going to be our filter, which is carbon-based. And then after it's filtered out, it will be stored in a 20-gallon barrel.
One of our main competitors is called Better Shelter, and to get the comparison numbers, for durability, our is long-lasting, meaning at least a decade to last or more, and theirs has a lifespan of 3 to 4 years. And in terms of speed, ours is 2 hours to build, while theirs is twice as long, which takes 4 hours, maybe 5. And in terms of space, ours is more spacious because at most it can hold at least 10 people, and theirs at least 5, since it tends to be smaller. And our commercial shelter, which will be for scientific expeditions, will be at least $750. And our main shelter, for the refugees and homeless, it will be at least $1,500, just a little more with their cost, which is at $1,150. And in terms of weight, theirs is about 366 pounds, while ours is within the same range at 400 pounds.
So in conclusion, we want to address the issue of homelessness around the world, as well as the refugees crisis, which seems to be getting worse as time goes on. With our shelter, we aim to provide these individuals with a reliable housing, as well as a solution to the water crisis that we are experiencing at the moment. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. I'm just curious on the temperature that you have the activation where it changes back to the shape on the shape memory material, shape memory alloy. What temperature would that be?
Okay. I got it, yeah. So,
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, so we are aware that most refugees are housed in areas where temperatures are high, can reach up to roughly 90 degrees. So our activation energy will be obviously more than that, which would roughly be 100, or not necessarily 100, but within the range of 100 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay. I was just thinking that in the storage containers that they're going to be shipped in, what have you, sitting in these locations, that could You don't want
Trigger,
them to
yeah,
activate inside
yeah, of course.
in such containers. And the other aspect is, I think when you're in some of these, like sub-Saharan Africa and places such as that, where they don't get much rainfall, that aspect is probably less suited for them, maybe better suited for other areas where they have more rainfall than get.
If I may also add to that, so you saw this. This is simply a representation of what our filter would be, but we won't necessarily depend on rainfall. Instead, other individuals could go out, go to their local water source and pour the water into this filter and use it as, extra storage.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The Nitinol is only used for the joints on the construction, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And the only reason you need it is for folding?
For storage, yes.
Why just use a hinge?
Because it'd be faster for the shelter to be built if you just activate the Nitinol. Also, if there's damage to the shelter, let's say there's an impact to it, you just activate it again and it'll go back to its original.
Is there value to a homeless person by having a construction done in 2 hours versus 4 or 5? Do I care?
No,
I'm looking for a place to sleep for the next week, so like a couple hours doesn't sound like a big deal.
With the shelter, we don't necessarily want to depend on the individuals who are homeless or refugees to construct them. Instead, we want to provide relief agencies with the ability to fund these the shelter and for them themselves to construct these shelters beforehand, before individuals could inhabit them.
Yeah, I commend you on this mission because it's so important.
Yeah, thank you.
Once again, I'm interested in the presentation, how you guys sort of decided on this, and how you broke down your responsibilities.
So when we started the project, we basically split our sections into 4 parts. So the parts we spoke is the parts we more focus on and more like rely on ourselves. So we actually then we put it together to make this presentation so it would be more smoothly.
We also based most of our investigation on the rubric that we were given. We also, when we found roadblocks, we figured, we should look into this more, and so we would assign individual people to look into the parts that they were more interested in, that they would like to, dive in and look into.
Why is the roof slanted?
The roof is slanted because it kind of gives us an easier way to access the rain. So the rain's going to fall. And then with the slant, when it hits the top, it's going to go down into the gutter system and then go through that filtration process.
Why do you charge more for the homeless shelter than for this scientific expedition shelter? I would think it'd be the other way around.
Yeah. So one thing we didn't necessarily go into was necessarily the dimensions. So for the cheaper ones, so for scientific expeditions, we wouldn't necessarily have as big a space as the refugees. We aimed to cover more space for the refugees so that they could so that they could necessarily be comfortable in their housing environment. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.